We are live, folks. Welcome to the live stream. Looking at the sun here, your local yellow dwarf in the colored magnetogram. You do see a reverse polarity plage down here. That's a cycle 25 plage right there. And we see the X-ray environment shifting a little bit due to this active region facing the Earth, and a bunch of plasma pulsations as a giant filament faces the planet as well. We're going to give you 1 minute to tell your friends and foes to join the live stream, so please do. And then I'll be right back. 1 minute lead time, folks. Stay tuned. All right, let's take a look at some more views here. I did get a notification from NOAA indicating a sunspot did form yesterday, but then instantly degraded. So it did not appear long enough to be named, folks, so we're just going to basically ignore that. Let's look at filamentary activity in 304 angstroms. As there are some giant filaments facing toward the Earth. We'll look at it from stereo A momentarily. Some big filaments in the northwest also. Let's move on to more stuff such as the real-time solar wind, which we see ongoing coronal hole looking connection here, very close to 180-degree phi angle. We have seen a reduction in the BT here. BZ remains in negative territory. Extremely low solar wind density once again, with only 1.82 protons per cubic centimeter, and a decrease in the solar wind speed, creating odd double layers in the magnetosphere. We'll show you that too in a moment, so hang in there. Here's the magnetosphere movies. First, we'll look at the density, which we missed yesterday because the data was not accessible. Today it is, and it's pretty anomalous looking, folks. We've got double layers here. Van Allen belts are very perturbed. And this is the kind of effect you get when you get a sustained solar minimum type condition. Keep in mind, white is low density and blue is high density. Whoops. Here's the pressure. And we see a very low pressure, no surprise, especially with that low wind speed and low solar wind density. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thank you, smAsho staff, especially, and thanks for taking the time to leave comments. There's that magnetospheric pressure movie, 4 hours of data. Let's look at the ground magnetic perturbations, changes in the Earth's B field. The beginning of the movie shows the major perturbations are over the Canadian North Pole, as opposed to the Siberian one, as the South Geomagnetic Pole continues its creep into the southern Indian Ocean. Off the western coast of Australia is where the real South Pole appears to be moving to. Let's move on to more stuff, such as the mission, smAshomash.org. Keep in mind that site is going to be changing soon, as we have some more graphics. Thanks, patrons. You're making a huge difference in the channel. For those of you who aren't patrons, we only have one tier, and it's $1, because we're trying to get more people to watch the videos. Also, we're trying to fund the channel and go full time. And we need a little bit more funding for that, so we've entered the affiliate space with Hemp Lucid. So check out the links below this video in the description box. You'll see a link to our Spaced Out campaign, specifically formulated for our spaced out viewers. You will notice some sales going on. Hemp seed oil, suspension, whole plant CBDs, 1,000 milligrams is on sale. Some of the Kalki products are on sale. One of my friends is going to grab some CBDs, and we'll be interested in his eyewitness accounts of how it affects him. I suggested the whole plant water soluble, as it's designed to absorb very quickly. The oil suspensions have a little longer efficacy, in other words, a longer dosage time, and also offer some additional benefits due to the other oils. Oils are very good for you, especially when they're specific organic type oils. Check out the cycling team at theveloshop.net. Owner of the shop, Becky Quinn, is a bike fitting expert. Spent 22 years as a top ranked pro. And the $225 bike fit is thrown in free with any bike purchase. So head out to theveloshop.net, the official bike shop of the Lehigh Valley Velodrome, a place I'll be visiting today. Now, I've only got one more expenditure before I can race, and that's my racing license. So we're trying to raise $75, and we're not using GoFundMe because that was an abject failure. Although thanks to those of you who did contribute to the GoFundMe campaign, as it bought me one tire, which is now on the time trial bike. So we'll have to thank you folks directly when I get onto a podium later this year. Check out the original music also. For instance, if you'd like to purchase Red Button, add it to your MP3 collection for 99 cents. And there's also more music on SoundCloud, links in the description there. Also, let's get back to the sun. 10.7 centimeter radio flux up to 68. Still above predicted values, but welcome to the solar minimum as it drags on and on and on. And we're forecasting it to end in September, where we'll see more cycle 25 sunspots than cycle 24 polarity sunspots. X-ray flux has ticked up a tiny bit due to that active region that's just about to be in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Again, we see some fluctuations and spikes here in the solar wind, as the Discover seems to be a little bit more susceptible to cosmic rays. We're going to cover cosmic rays at the end of the video. Due to that, magnetometer is still showing some perturbations here, as we don't see smooth curves. We see disruptions. We'll look at the gong too and see what's going on with that, although it's caused by that active plage facing the Earth and the filamentary activity in between us and it. We'll show you the filamentary activity also on stereo A. KP never made it to 4 yesterday as forecasted by NOAA and has dropped back down to 1. Electron flux yesterday was the lowest I think I've ever seen it. There's a view of that. Still extremely low today, although an uptick from yesterday. And part of the reason why the magnetosphere movies look so jacked up is because of this incredibly low electron flux. We're not going to get into atmospheric physics, as people make fools of themselves on Instagram. So follow us there also. F2 layer is extremely discharged on the nighttime portion here. Extremely discharged. And it looks like it's very discharged in the daytime portion. These ionosphere issues are associated with that weak solar wind. And man, oh man, watch this one throughout the day. This is going to be all over the map. And that thing updates very quickly, folks. So if you save this link and refresh it, I should make an animation of it someday so you can see the way it works. Anyway, the sun portion is, the sun is going to be right about here, as the most charged portion of the ionosphere trails the sun by about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So anyway, watch for changes in this throughout the day today. No real forecast there. Auroras are just kind of moderate, surprisingly strong considering how weak the solar wind is. Like I said, the X-ray environment's probably going to continue to increase a little bit. We'll show you the X-ray imager real quick here. Again, that plage facing the Earth is gigantic. It's probably something like 35 Earths in diameter. Maybe 20 Earths in diameter. And there you see it on the GOES X-ray imager. Also, here's this reverse polarity plage location. And that is a cycle 25 plage, folks. So let's look at some more stuff. Here's a gong too. This data 1 hour, 48 minutes old. And the Earth is right on the cusp of a polarity sector boundary crossing right here. We're not expecting any significant perturbations in the GOES magnetometer as a result of this. As we can see, suspended plasma Both locations there. Keep in mind this suspended plasma blocks our view, magnetically speaking, of the corona. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in 1 minute. Anyway, that's the Gong 2 data. Now, here's a stereo A coronagraph, which takes us out into space. So we're no longer looking from the Earth's perspective. We're looking from 3 months, 4 months behind the Earth in terms of orbit. Now the Earth is out this way. The interplanetary magnetic field is right on the solar equator, right about here. So the Earth is out in this direction where my pointer is. And we see the pulsations in this plasma associated with this plage. There are like 3 distinct regions there. One is kind of right on the equator, which has the most striations in it due to the B field of the sun. And then we see a North Pole one and a South Pole one. And they're being held together by that plage. So this is something to keep an eye on throughout the day and week. When I say week, solar activity sure is. Here's the planet locations. For you new viewers out there, stereo A, where we're just looking, is located right here. And we use stereo A to look for coronal mass ejections that are Earth facing. Stereo B is located about here. As Venus speeds away, Mercury catches up. 2 days from the, I'm sorry, one week from the Saturn opposition, and here's where it'll be. There's where things will be in 1 week. We're going to have a Mercury, Earth, Saturn conjunction there, very close. So anyway, Milky Way Galaxy team for the win. Check out in-the-sky.org if you're interested in what's going on above your head, as I am. Saturn's about to set. Venus just rose. So if you're like on the east coast of the U.S. right now, you got a low horizon. Go take a picture of Venus. It's going to be amazing. I might have to do it myself. It's pretty clear out today, I think. Great day for bike riding. Going to do about a 40-miler. Check us out on other social media if it makes it easier for you to share our videos, as we have been pegged at 1,337 subscribers on YouTube for weeks. Anyway, there we are on Twitter. Keep in mind, I don't tweet because I don't like the platform, but we know some people only use Twitter as social media. So if it helps you to share our videos with those folks, please use that platform. Also, facebook.com/smAsho, a political hack organization that will censor you. Thanks, Mark. Oh, and by the way, big tech, you cannot break the internet, but the internet can break you. It's out on Instagram also. You may see some of the ridiculous conversations there. We also use Instagram to highlight the censorship by big tech. For instance, yesterday when YouTube app told us our channel does not meet the updated eligibility requirements for mobile live streaming, just before we did a mobile live stream. So, dear Google, learn to code. Instagram.com/MashoMash. And also check us out on Gab. I just posted a link on how to remove Google and all of its junkware from your life. Gab.com/SmAshoMash. Also, Minds.com/SmAshoMash. The social media that's open source and won't censor you. It's the way of the future, folks. So if you haven't liked and subscribed this video, if you enjoy the content, please do so, as we are heavily shadow banned. 1,337 subscribers. And we're not doing that on purpose, folks. We're elite, but we're not doing it on purpose. Earthquake rundown. Here's a 4.6 in Indonesia. Looks like an earthquake downtick, folks. Here's a 4.4 at Panama. Here's a quake at depth at Afghanistan. Heads up Afghanistan for a larger quake at the surface at 4.5 at 98.9 kilometers depth. Here's a 4.9 at Tonga, 4.3 at Fiji at 551 kilometers depth. Shout out if you're viewing from Oceania. I really want to go to Fiji, but I'm going to go to American Samoa one of these years for New Year's, as it's one of the last places in the world to experience New Year's, making for your year to be very long. Philippine quake at extremely deep depth. Heads up. Let's look at that one. Location of this quake in the Bohol Sea. That's a deep one, folks. And if a tsunami was generated from that area by a larger quake at the surface, that would be a disaster, as there are cities all around this region. Heads up Philippines, that quake at 549.2 kilometers. And I don't know what happened here. I lost my place, which is very easy to do using the USGS website, folks. Actually, quite a few quakes going off here. All right, maybe not an earthquake downtick. Here's a 6.0 of Vanuatu. Doesn't look like it generated a tsunami. That one's also a depth. Not good news for folks in Oceania, as that could be the predecessor to a larger quake at the surface as well. So we see 3 deep quakes right in a row there in a straight line going across that plate boundary. Heads up that region. That is the danger zone. All in here. If you're in this region, please be an asset, not a liability in the event of a larger quake. Those buildings will probably crumble. Here's a 4.4 in Iran as Middle Eastern quakes continue. Here's a 5.2 in the rift zone northeast of New Zealand, where we saw 7+ magnitude quakes last week. 5.0 in Indonesia, also at depth. Another warning of larger quakes at the surface. Here's a 4.9 at Tonga. We're only doing 4s and higher magnitude, folks. Here's a 4.8 at Indonesia, 4.9 at Tonga. .3 at Toba, Japan. Here's a location of that one. Also a 4.1 at Iran. 4.3 at Fiji at 623 kilometers depth. Very shallow quake at Hawaii. Probably more magmatic activity. Let's see what's going on there. The last time we saw one here, it was right underneath Kilauea's caldera. And this one is instead underneath Mauna Loa. No big deal there. They need a bigger quake for anything to kick off at Mauna Loa. Interesting nonetheless. We also see a deep quake at Alaska, but only a 2.5 magnitude. And lastly, a 5.6, only about an hour ago, at the Solomon Islands. So heads up Oceania, this whole area north of Australia and east of Australia are the danger zone for larger surface quakes, as there have been a series of blot echoes. Here's the pressure map. We'll let this play through. And I will attempt to get through some comments. Again, thanks for taking the time to leave comments, folks. And if you're not viewing live, leave a comment anyway. I would note there's a very anomalous low pressure system southwest of Baja California. It's kind of sitting still. And this is the location of things where they're predicted to be by windy.com on Friday the 5th, as this anomalous low pressure system just sits still. Very funky. Let's move on to other stuff, such as volcanoes. Volcano rundown. Looks like we've got new additions to the list again. Kluchevskoy back on the list, although volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery due to cloud cover, it looks like to me. Although that is Revenador in that photo. Tucono still producing ash emissions in a 7,000-foot ash plume there. Popocatépetl's ash has dispersed. Fuego ash seen in satellite. Sangay back on the list here. New volcanic emissions there. Revenador producing a 14,000-foot ash plume via some explosive activity. And as Sabancaya produces a 26,000-foot explosive plume of ash, please do not attempt to toast marshmallows in the Sabancaya caldera, as that could be unhealthful. Although sulfur marshmallows might be tasty, I'm not sure. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar. We see a convergence zone going across the central U.S. and a bit of a respite for Texas. Shout out Texans. Let us know if it's dried out there, what the corn looks like. And we're going to skip the water vapor map entirely today, as there's not a lot of severe weather going on. Although there is some lightning coming down in Wisconsin. Dear Marshfield, thunder is rolling in. And dear viewers, if you're not familiar with lightningmaps.org, the next time you hear thunder, check it out and discern the difference between your ass and a hole in the ground. This vulgarity-free section brought to you by the smAsho channel at massive personal expense. So support the channel via the links in the description, please. We've only got another few $1,000s per month to replace an income before we become a full-time reporting channel. Let's define a term as we attempt to burden our viewership. Let's use it in a sentence. Big tech and the lousy, junky software that they make that barely functions is a huge liability to the country and indeed the world and information itself. See what I'm saying? Liability. Ever hear of a liability? Quality or state of being liable. One that acts as a disadvantage. Big tech is a liability for information itself. So let's talk about liability. Thinking of suing somebody? Thinking of suing some software manufacturer or something like that? Check out Handle on the Law, Bill Handle's legal referral site. Just put in a category such as business litigation and your location, such as, oh, I don't know, Northern California, which is not where I'm located, and just hit search, and it'll come up with some lawyers, and then you just contact them and you sue whatever organization you want to sue. Here's somebody not to sue, DuckDuckGo.com, a real search engine, one that will return objective search results, unlike the most popular one. Actually, the most popular two, if you're not familiar, the most popular two search engines in the world are Google, followed by YouTube, which is not considered a search engine. However, more web searches are done on that than the next biggest search engine. So since Google owns YouTube since only 1 year after it was created, in other words, YouTube rolled out in 2005. By 2006, Google purchased it, and they're trying to ruin it. And I just reiterate, dear Google and Facebook and Apple and Twitter, you cannot break the internet, but the internet can break you. DuckDuckGo won't track you. It won't store your personal information. It won't follow you around with ads, and it won't track you even out of private browsing mode. Let's talk about ways to get Google out of your life. I know it's difficult. If you own an Android device, it's impossible because Google owns the Android operating system also. So as Google does more than any other company in the world to try to break the internet, a lot of smart people are figuring out how to prevent them. Anyway, removing Google from your life can be done. Sadly, their trackers have been found on nearly 75% of the top 1 million websites. Also, Google answered over 100,000 subpoenas for data requests. So there's a reason to get Google out of your life. Anyway, here's some ways to do it. Instead of Googling things and sounding like a complete dolt using Google as a verb, which makes my ears bleed, use DuckDuckGo. Now again, the reason you don't want to use Google as a verb is because what that really means is obtaining extremely biased search results, mainly from companies that submit to Google's monetary shakedown to get your websites higher on the search results list. That's how Google works. Google tried to shake down our channel for $350, at which we laughed and wasted their time. Instead of Gmail, calendar, and contacts, try Fastmail. You got to pay for it, but you're in a lot of situations, it's worth paying for your privacy. This is why people purchase things like VPN services. Instead of YouTube, well, we're not going to say anything about that organization. How about OpenStreetMap? Instead of Google Maps, how about OpenStreetMap, an open source map that has nothing to do with Google? How about Resilio Sync instead of Google Drive? How about Brave Browser instead of Google Chrome? How about WordPress or Ghost instead of Blogger? How about Zoom instead of Google Hangouts? How about Signal instead of Google Duo and Android Messages? How about MeWe instead of Google Groups? How about anything but Google's franchises? Check out Brave Browser. As these folks try to fix the internet, thank you very much, Brendan and Brian and Yan and Ben and everybody else on the team. They got about 60 people who are fixing the internet, while certain companies who will remain unnamed, just kidding, they're Google, Facebook, Apple, and Twitter primarily, try to break it. Let's look at some economic data, as we've been doing this for days. Gold is just off a 6-year high. Silver is nowhere near one, at only $15.20 per ounce. Let's reiterate. There's gold, just off a 6-year high. There's silver. And it's on low volume, folks, which means small trades could make big moves today. So keep an eye on the silver. Let's look at futures. There's the futures. Here's a currency futures. The dollar set to open down 1 nickel on strong euro. The Dow Jones Industrial Average looks like it's going to open 41 points down. Bond yields are up. Another indication of weakness in the US dollar. Here's the S&P 500 one-year chart. Overvalued in my opinion, due to too much cheap money in the market. Here's Bitcoin, which I sold all of mine way down here, considering getting back in if we receive any kind of reasonable drop in this market. Anyway, there's a Bitcoin chart. Here's the Ethereum chart, and it looks exactly like gold versus silver. Again, there's Bitcoin. And there's Ethereum. Would also note that Bitcoin is trading on pretty low volume here on the Coinbase exchange. Volume is an issue when it comes to cryptos, as the reporting is known to be fake news. Here's the Ethereum volume, 228,000. Bitcoin volume, only 47,000. So that's odd. However, it does have to do with the price, since Ethereum is so much cheaper per coin. About 60 inches of hail in Guadalajara yesterday. Check it out. If that's not a weather extreme, man, you think they experienced some crop losses as a result? They got a respite from the summer heat as they received about 60 inches of hail, damaging at least 200 homes. I guess they're not going to say anything about the farming situation. Although somehow I feel like if I had crops planted underneath this, that they probably wouldn't fare particularly well. What do you think? They're going to try to blame the hailstorm on high temperatures, and that's BS, as hailstorms are caused by cold temperatures mixing with hot air. We need cold temperatures for things like tornadoes the same features that cause hailstorms. So nice triquartz, or was that BBC? Whoever it is, I don't really care. 60 inches of hail in Guadalajara yesterday. Tell your friends, tell your foes. Check out Galaxy NGC 972. It's the Hubble image of the week. Not bad. This article from SciTech Daily linked in the description, like everything else we cover on the channel. So please visit those links and open up your moldy wallet. Pay us some cash. Anyway, NGC 972, discovered in 1784 by William Herschel. Here's another good one, Eta Carinae, a crazy-ass flaring star, rowdy giant star, double star system located 7,500 light years away. In 1838, Eta Carinae underwent a cataclysmic outburst called the Great Eruption, quickly estimating to be the second brightest star in the sky by April of that year. Anyway, more fireworks coming out from Eta Carinae. Links to that article as well. If you want to follow the transients of Eta Carinae, just head to the Mule-Garel Swift Observatory, the Swift Bat Hard X-ray monitor, and hit find and type in car, and then there's Eta Carinae, and there's the transients from Eta Carinae. Let's look at Sagittarius A star, the core of the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, that is. Sagittarius A star's transient outbursts. Small uptick going on this year. Nothing too crazy happening there. Let's look at my favorite cosmic ray source, Cygnus X3. The transients from Cygnus X3, otherwise known as Deneb, the other celestial North Pole, at the other end of the, quote, precessional cycle. This massive X-ray binary is one of the only understood point sources of cosmic rays. It's also involved in some things that I can't mention in this video. But we are going to cover it. We just don't want to cover too much, as scientific papers are going to be written. Here's Cygnus X1, widely believed by people who don't understand the physics or the spectra to be a black hole. And I don't believe in black holes. Shout out Dr. Robitaille. We see some big transients kicking off here in the past couple of days at Cygnus X1. Let's also look at Cygnus A, the second strongest radio source in the entire sky, also known as 3C405.0. Cygnus A, the massive radio galaxy located over 500 million light years away, is a stronger radio source than anything else in the universe except for the sun from the perspective of our planet. Cygnus A, if you're not familiar with it, read up. It's a crazy radio galaxy, and it's huge. Here's an article on phys.org. Spring spiraling filaments feed young galaxies. Now, you electric universe nerds were aware of this to begin with, but we like when Caltech reports on it. Let's play a clip from the video and not get banned from YouTube by making it take up less space on the screen.
When you look at the sky, you see billions and billions of galaxies. And I think a very natural question to ask is, how did they get there? Why do they have the kind of shapes and sizes and colors that they do? And in order to be able to answer that question, you need to understand the environment they came from and the environment that they're growing with. And that is the cosmic web. Cosmic web is the gas between galaxies.
Anyway, the galaxies in the universe appear to be connected by the cosmic web. If you're not familiar with it, it's super important to cosmology, real cosmology. And the cosmic web, it looks a bit like this.
In what
if you watch
looks kind of
Suspicious
like a
Observers,
spider web filamentary structure.
If you watch Suspicious Observers, you're well aware of this, as everything in the universe is connected, looking very similar to a brain, actually.
Smart.
So super interesting stuff here, and we are talking about this guy whose name is I don't know. But anyway, this gentleman here is mapping the cosmic web, not to be confused with the cosmic microwave background, which isn't a thing. And if you weren't aware, the Big Bang isn't a thing either. There's no observational evidence at all to support the Big Bang. So stop believing in it. Please stop believing in it. Go through cosmic rays as quickly as possible. Here's Apatity. Here's Barentsburg. Here's Athens, Greece. After this, we'll head to Mexico City. There's Mexico City. Here's a cosmic ray station in Moscow. And here's Oulu, as well as Antarctica. There's Oulu, Finland. There's DOMC Antarctica. There's DOMB Antarctica. Links to the Cosmic Ray Links site also. Thanks again for tuning into the live stream, folks. It's about time to close this out. Let's get some better images of the sun first. If you're going to leave a comment, do it quick, because we are just about to leave here as if we robbed a bank. Incidentally, we didn't rob a bank. Here's 9 hours and 15 minutes of activity at 171 angstroms, my personal favorite. Here's that active plage down here. Cycle 25. So welcome to solar minimum, folks, as it drags on. The cosmic wave that came from behind the Earth on the opposite side of the sun, huh? That was magnetohydrodynamics, not a cosmic wave. So Nibiru's not a real thing, folks. It's not a real thing. So I don't know what YouTube channels you're watching coming up with these insane ideas about cosmic waves that hit the planet on the backside. That's not a thing. But if you've got information about the quote cosmic wave end quote that hit the planet on Sunday, please leave a link, as that's not a thing. And it wasn't caused by anything coming out of space. It was caused by fluctuations in the magnetosphere. There are a lot of channels coming out with a lot of nonsense. Laura Wells Research. A lot of channels with a lot of nonsense, folks, and there are a lot of people who believe a lot of complete crap out there who don't understand the physics. And they say waves multiply other waves and some waves cancel out waves because I just learned about wave theory and I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in, folks. Thanks, donors especially. Please visit the links in the description and help support the channel, as we will go full-time eventually. And the sooner you donate, the sooner that'll happen. Join our $1 tier at Patreon, as we're going to be putting some exclusive material on there. And eventually, these full-length live streams will only be visible there, as we will only put smaller clips on YouTube to deny some data from Google. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in, folks. It's about that time. Remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.